Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Hannah. Today I'm going to be doing another reading vlog. The way I pick the books that I'm going to read might be a little bit different from most. I have to get my books from the library, so I pretty much just kind of go through all the books that I want to read, and if the library happens to have it in at that time, then I add it to the list. So today I'm going to be starting The Devourers by Indra. It was published in 2016 and is a fantasy horror. I don't tend to read a lot of fantasy, I believe, so I am interested to get into this. Because of how I choose my books, I don't really read the descriptions before I grab them. I kind of want to be surprised a little bit, so let's read the description of this one together so we can kind of get some first impressions on it. Alright. On a cool evening in Kolkata, India, beneath a full moon, as the whirling rhythms of traveling musicians fill the night, college professor Alec encounters a mysterious stranger with a bizarre confession and an extraordinary story. Tantalized by the man's unfinished tale, Alec will do anything to hear its completion, so Alec agrees, at the stranger's behest, to transcribe a collection of battered notebooks, weathered parchments, and once living skins. From these documents spills the chronicle of a race of people at once more than human, yet akin to beasts. Ruled by instincts and desires blood deep and ages old. The tale features a rough wanderer in 17th century Mughal India who finds himself irrevocably drawn to a defiant woman and destined to be torn asunder by two clashing worlds. With every passing chapter of beauty and brutality, Alec's interest in the stranger grows and evolves into something darker and more urgent. Shifting dreamlike between present and past with intoxicating language, visceral action, compelling characters, and stark emotion, The Devourers offers a reading experience quite unlike any other novel. Laced with elements of folklore and fantasy, Indra Das's striking debut takes readers to once familiar places made wondrously new by an exciting storyteller of keen insight and captivating imagination. And there's a torty head right in the way here. Oh my goodness, she sniffed the camera. What are you doing, Torty? We have an interruption. Please don't knock the camera over though. Oh my god, she's stretching. Come on, where are you going? Let's go. Get your butt out of the way. That's why I laughed when I was reading the description. I saw her jump up on my desk. And now she's putting her foot into a glass of water. Wow, okay, you do that. So first impressions of this book is it says it's a one-of-a-kind story. So that already kind of sets high expectations. I know every book kind of wants to be that. However, it does sound like something I haven't really read before. I'm also interested in all the lore and the stories that it's talking about. I'm hearing a really strange noise. I hope it doesn't come up in the video. Because it says once living skin, so I'm assuming it's like leather made out of human skin. Alright, I think the weird sound is over with. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I think I'm gonna try and give a prediction of how much I'm going to enjoy this. I think I'll end up rating this 4 out of 5. I really like the cover. That's kind of what really drew me in. I actually learned about this book through the new website Storygraph. Some people are kind of suggesting it as an alternative to Goodreads. I just signed up a day or two ago to try it out for myself, and the recommendation feature seems to be the most interesting thing about it, as this was one of my recommendations. So I guess we'll see how good that is. And here comes a torty again. Oh my goodness. Alright, well, I'm gonna get started in this book and I'll be back in a bit to see how it's going. Alright, so I just read the first chapter in this story, and I really like the way the author writes. It's very pleasing and easy to read, and I really enjoy the descriptions. So literally on page 2, someone tells the main character that they're a werewolf, and I think it's just a really interesting start. Like, we're getting into the fantasy aspect right away, and I had another book earlier in January that kind of hinted toward werewolves, and then there was absolutely nothing. So it's actually kind of cool to be reading about something like that now. I haven't read anything with any type of creature like that in quite a while, so it's kind of refreshing, actually. But yeah, so far I'm really digging the vibe this book is giving off so far. So it's now nighttime here, and I'm about 50 pages in this book now. I really enjoy the writing itself. The author writes very poetically, but also in a very raw way. I'm rather enjoying that aspect of it so far. I also think the fantasy aspect is working very well. Our main character, Alec, which I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. It's spelled A-L-O-X, I think. Sorry, A-L-O-K. He just kind of randomly meets this strange dude that's claiming to be part werewolf. And it's not exactly werewolves as we view them. The guy even later on says they're more like shapeshifters, which that's definitely the case now that I'm further in the story. I don't really want to say like what their powers are or anything that's been revealed so far, as gets into spoiler territory a bit. So it seems like a majority of the book is going to be retellings of old events that have happened in the past. Like in the description, it talks about things that are written on like human skin and things of that nature. And it seems like this wolfman has transcribed those into a journal, and now Alec is like typing them out on a computer. So it's kind of like the stories being changed to a different format and being passed on in a way. So far, the book's been a really pleasant surprise. Oh my god, Ori. Good morning, everyone. It's now Monday. I'm having an incredibly slow start to my day. I'm just really tired this morning and feel kind of out of it. And I was dumb and started laundry right before filming this, so you can probably hear the laundry in the background, and also Ori is just being Ori right here. So I got further into the Devourers. About 110 pages in. The language that is used is really gorgeous, and it really just makes me want to devour this book in one sitting. But the subjects are just really rough and raw and deal with individual trauma and the trauma that others can inflict on people. If you're a very sensitive person, I definitely would not suggest this book. And as a content warning, there is rape that occurs in this book. It is not graphic, but it is referred to a lot so far. Oh my god, Dorothy. I don't think I've ever read a book quite like this. There isn't too much an interaction between the two main characters. Right now, it's just focusing on the stories of the past. So we're still meeting new characters and new places. It's now Tuesday afternoon. I wasn't able to film last night. My phone kept saying that I didn't have enough space, so it wasn't letting me do anything. And I was really confused about that because I've recently deleted a bunch of videos and pictures off my phone. However, I learned something new today. Apparently there's a trash bin folder that everything I delete goes to, and it stays there for 30 days after I've deleted it. So it's technically still on my phone. So that's why my phone was still freaking out and telling me I had no space, because there was like 2,000 items in that trash bin. So I finally figured that out today, so that's fixed. So the Devourers, I ended up almost completely binging this book last night. It was just really engaging, and I just needed to know what happened next. The only reason I didn't completely finish it is because it was getting really late and I was kind of dying, so I forced myself to put it down, so I'll end up finishing the last few chapters today. So after that, the book goes into the stories that are on those scrolls, and they really just ended up being extremely interesting to me. They are very raw and graphic, but they're just really entrancing, and I just needed to know how the story ended. The stories are from two different points of view, which my favorite is actually from the point of view of this woman named Sierra, and she's actually the only significant woman character in this entire book. It does switch back to Alec's point of view a few times to kind of show his interactions with the stranger a bit more as the transcription goes over a full year. I am far enough where the old stories are completely over now and it's just focusing on Alec and the stranger. At this point, the stranger has taken Alec to the spot where he was born, and I'm really interested to read these last few chapters and see how the relationship between Alec and the stranger is going to finish, and if the characters that were telling the older stories are going to be relevant at the end. As of right now, I'm pretty sure this is a 4 to 4.5 star read for me. It's really going to depend how it ends now. I really hope I'm okay with the ending. So I'm probably going to read the rest of that soon just because I'm really excited to finish this book and just, it has not left my mind. There was something I wanted to say last night, but since I couldn't film last night, I forgot all about it until just now. So the names of the characters, well, most of the characters in this book are really on the nose. For example, there is a Frenchman named Gévaudan, which is an area of France where in the 1760s they were hounded by this man-eating beast, and it's a legend that is still around today. Like, I've listened to podcasts about it. It's just a really popular legend in France. So considering that the story being told takes place in the 1600s, I think it's kind of funny that he took on that name before that legend ever existed. It's just kind of a funny connection that I thought was really interesting in the story. So I just finished The Devourers, and wow, that was definitely different. It's definitely overall a story about accepting yourself and discovering your true self. It really seems like that at the end. However, the ending for me really felt like it dragged too much. Every time I kept thinking like, oh, okay, like this is going to be the end of the book in the next few pages. It just kind of kept going on and on and on. And so it did feel like it was dragging a bit by the end. The overall story, though, was just a great experience, and I think I'm going to give it a solid 4 in the end. I think this is what I'm going to be thinking about for a while, though. If you're sensitive to things like body horror, because this book is dealing with shapeshifters, there's a lot of graphic detail about like bodies changing, about people being killed, things of that nature. So I definitely wouldn't recommend this to anyone that doesn't think they'd be able to handle that. The main characters kind of end up a little bit under a spell, and reading the book, it kind of feels like I ended up under the spell of the book. So it's kind of fitting. I really didn't expect to read this so quickly. I thought it was going to take me closer to like 5 days. However, I almost read it in just 2, because the first day I only read like 50 pages, and then the second day I read almost the entire thing. So it's 3 days in the end. So like I said earlier, this was a book that was suggested through that website Storygraph. So far, it's 1 out of 1. Like it suggested something that I really ended up enjoying in the end. So it's already better than the Goodreads suggestions for me so far. Thanks for going on this journey with me though, and I'll see you next time.